Armed goblin out of a tree. How's it, everybody? How's it going? It's AJ back again for another late night live stream. Please stay a while and listen. Does anybody remember that it's Wednesday night live streams? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. It's always going to be that one stream where nobody shows up. Hello, Amanda Mercer. How's it going? I've been writing today. I've been writing a... I'm almost finished. I've done all these pages here on this project of mine, where essentially you get the Tarokka deck, which I have around somewhere. Here it is. Here's my custom-made Tarokka snap-lock container of Doom. And so what you do is you draw cards as like a tarot deck. Yeah, it's the late night stream. Hey, Phelan. Yeah, that's true. People are like, I can't keep up with all the content that you're putting out. It's like, well, what did you expect was going to happen when I did this full time? Hey, Dustin. Hi, Ruben. Hi, Kirby. Yeah, that's not a that creature on the live stream art. The title page is actually a 3D printed creature that I blew up in size in my 3D printer. So the idea behind this thing that I'm writing, this project that I've been doing for the last day or so, sweater. It's kind of like a hoodie, and it's quite cheap, but it's warm because it's midwinter here. Hey, Robert. The project that I'm doing is based on the Deck of Many Things, because the Deck of Many Things is fairly broken. It always has been. It's kind of the appeal of it, really. You know, that when you draw a card, it can potentially break your game or your character. This is using the Tarokka deck in what I'm calling the... Did I print out a thing? Yeah, here we go. The Deck of Boon and Bane. So essentially, you draw the card, and depending on whether the card is right way up or upside down, because the Tarokka cards, if you've never seen them before, have an illustration that's either upright or upside down. So they have a positive or negative effect when you draw the card. So for instance, if you draw the Tempter, let's see, what happens if you draw the Tempter? Did I write one for this? Did I? Did I not? Broken one, hood one, thief, torturer, traitor, transmuter. I think I missed one. Oh my god. Well, I'm glad I discovered that. Wow. Still a sweater, yeah, ish. The Tempter. So the cards have various effects. Essentially, they've got either a positive or negative effect when you draw it, and it's not really as bad as the Deck of Many Things, and they're not really as good as the Deck of Many Things. It's more like probably the best would be you get sort of a feat suite of abilities, or you come into some wealth which has got some responsibilities attached to it and things like that. So yeah, so for instance, if you drew the Paladin, if you got the right way up Paladin, you would have the ability to heal 1d4 plus 1 hit points per long rest, and the character's got a reputation as a selfless defender of the weak and downtrodden, so they just get this aura of goodness attached to them, and people will generally welcome the character and their companions as if they were a folk hero. If you get the upside down Paladin, the downside of this, the character gains the worst reputation as a goody two-shoes, spoilsport, moral bully, and snitch, and they will be excluded from gambling games, carousing, and people will groan when they go into a tavern because they'll assume that the character is there to preach at them or lecture. So that's the sort of gist of it, really. Yeah, I mean, you can't really say that it's broken because it's been around for a very long time and it's an artifact level thing, so it should have a world shaking effect when you use it in a game. But yeah, it can be problematic. Yeah, a deck of money. Yeah, I want to give the players the experience of the deck of many things showing up and being a part of their game experience. It's like you want them to fight a beholder or a dragon at some point without breaking your game in half. So this is just an extra option, and I'll be making that available as a PDF for people because yeah, why not? But that's basically been what I did on my day off, which was yesterday. Yep. That's the whole point, Gabe. I wanted to, and from my experience of many years of gaming and using the deck of many things, and what's good about the deck of many things is what I channeled into this, so that the effects are more story based. So they give more opportunities for interesting stories to happen. Basically, deck of Wheel and Woe, nice. Yeah, Boon and Bane. So this could be a sacred object of Maliki, or not Maliki. Who's the one of is it Maliki? Who's the one that's all about fate, chance? Anyone? So what else was I going to talk about today? Shark Week's coming up in 2 days or 3 days, I believe, over in the States. It's quite a tradition over there. It's been going for what, 30 years or something? Some ridiculous amount of time. I thought it was just like a recent thing from Discovery Channel, but no, it's been going on for quite some time. Where does the tradition of Shark Week even come from? Not so much the Raven Queen. Tamora, that's it. Tamora, the goddess of luck, fate. Hi, Kirby. I've been noticing you're binge watching through my content and leaving comments all over the place today. Tamora, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've also got in the doobly-doo for this week's live stream, or today's live stream, that it's also Troll Week on my channel. I've had a lot of very aggressive people, more so than normal, which I noticed ever since I made that video on Critical Role. Actually, I've had an increase of sort of negative attention, which has been interesting. Discovery Channel started it back in the 90s. Okay. So it's been around for, what, 20 years? Almost. It's still a significant amount of time. Yeah, so I'll be putting out some more videos this week. I'm going to concentrate on, over the next week or so, on putting out some Fae stuff, because I've been asked a lot for Fae material, more Fae stuff, and also more aquatic stuff as well. People have asked me for videos on aquatic things, for aquatic campaigns, which don't really get a lot of attention in written materials and source books and things. So yeah, quite happy to do that. And I also want to investigate and get oh yeah, Boule, the Tome of Horrors, which is a product that was released by was it Necromancer Games? Necromancer? Frog God? Necromancer. So they've updated it for 5th edition with a lot of new artwork and things like that. And they've got a suite of chromatic boulets, kind of like dragon versions of boulets in there, which I thought would be an interesting video to make, to review those boulets and put them in, make them, draw your attention to them as a potential weirdness that you can throw at your players with these themed boulets, which, since they're also known as sharks, land sharks, it's fitting for Shark Week. So I was hoping to put out a video on those. Savras, the god of divination and fate. Yeah, there are many overlapping deities. There'll be one major deity of a particular portfolio, and then there'll be secondary deities who are also in charge of those portfolios. But there's always one major god, and then there's lesser gods in charge of portfolios. Yeah. Kirby, you got to add more context in your comments, man. I don't understand. Wookien, yeah. Just simplify. Yeah, Aquatic Adventures is interesting because there's a lot of history and stuff of Faerun which would probably overlap a lot with other stuff which is going on. And of course, with the changes and things to the geography of Forgotten Realms, there's a lot of some can fly. I've never heard of any flying boulets. That'd be interesting. Do you know what source that you got that from? I'd like to look those up because I include them if I can find them. So there's a lot of changes that have been made to the seas and things and the water lines and stuff. There's some flooded cities that are of interest to aquatic campaigners. Which one was that, Kairos? Can you remind me? I get a lot of video recommendations. Yeah, expansive deities and demigods for 5th edition would be interesting because that would update a lot of information as well. Hydras, yeah. So yeah, so more phase stuff, more aquatic stuff, and of course I'll be keeping up with my usual weekly Demon series videos, and I'm overdue to do some more dragon videos as well. Hello Bryce, how's it going? Bryce the Maestro, who put the backing music behind the Centaurs video that I just released. So well done, Bryce, that was really nice. That source is D&D 1st edition via Independence, Missouri, or Gax himself. Well, I need to be able to find it if I'm going to include it as an actual lore thing. If it's just like some third-party thing somewhere that's never been verified, I can't really include it. Oh yeah, okay. Underdark cities and stuff. Thanks, Chester. Yep. Sure. Well, that comes with the territory. I know it's a different breed of comments and commentary that I get these days from what I originally got, and the traffic is becoming too much for me to keep up with, really. So sometimes I just elect to not really. How many dragons have you got left? A lot, Phelan, a lot. A crossbreed troll cockatrice. Interesting. So yeah, the commentary is getting a little bit more nasty and stuff. And there was one incident just between two long-time commenters of the channel who got into an argument they probably should have just sort of backed out of because they weren't obviously going to see eye to eye, and then name calling started. And I don't mind if you rubbish me or comment or critique or whatever of myself personally and my content and stuff, but just all I ask is that you don't attack other commenters on the message board, on the message threads below the videos, because that will force me to step in and say, hey, either cease and desist, play nice, or I will block you from the channel. It's pretty simple. There's no need to attack anybody in a commentary on a game that we all share and enjoy. It's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary aggressiveness. So it's also infantile, really. There are people here who are from all different countries and walks of life, different opinions, who play very vastly different games. So Greetings, Dan. Grant, how's it going? Matthew. Viking Warfist. What's my favorite primordial? I don't know, actually. I mean, I have just done a video on, which I'll be releasing in a day or two, on Atropos, finally. Hi, Inquisitor Thomas. Yeah, I mean, if people have got arguments, want to get into a debate with themselves, you know, between themselves, then there is options and stuff to just like exchange emails with each other or whatever. I know, you know, you can vehemently disagree with somebody and not resort to calling them names. It's pretty simple. Particularly because I know that these individuals involved are grown men. It's like, have some decorum. Oh yeah. Oh, there's so many different creatures and so many undead that I want to cover, Carlos. I really enjoyed that video on the Bodak. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I really love about the comments on there is people are sharing their ideas and their inspiration with everyone else. So I love the free sharing of campaign ideas and things that they did in their games which worked or didn't work. And I read all of these comments. So you know, if you see a little if I've put a little love heart symbol thingy on your post, it means I've read it. Yeah, so. Fight me at PAX. Yeah, e-baiters. No, so Atropals are different from Atropus. So Atropals are the undead god babies, and Atropus is a planet-sized undead head of a primordial. Hey, thanks, Robert. The anti-comment raid hero. Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, I'm not going to really engage. The moment you've stepped too far is when you suddenly can't find yourself completely unable to make any comments on any of my videos ever again. Because once you're blocked on my channel, I don't go back and review those. You're gone forever. You'll have to make a new YouTube account to comment again. It's pretty simple. And that will simply be because you lost your shit and attacked somebody personally when there was absolutely no need to. Just don't engage. You can attack me as much as you want. I don't care. I can handle it. Just don't attack anybody else. Because they're here to share their love of the game. And if they have a different opinion to yours, what does it affect you? Honestly. Yeah, first edition was very limited in that. It's kind of nice, actually. For those of you who haven't played first edition or D&D Basic, for instance, the limitation of your options is actually kind of liberating. So if you're playing a dwarf, you just play a dwarf, or if you're playing an elf, you're just an elf. You know, halflings have got their special abilities and things. It was being an elf or a dwarf or a halfling was a much more different experience. I mean, you weren't just a halfling paladin, or paladin with halfling tacked on there. You were really like halfling. So it's a liberating experience playing D&D Basic. Also, it can be very fast paced, and there's less worrying about your character's background and stuff like that. You just essentially slip. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about with alignment last week, which I didn't really get my head wrapped around, was back in the old days, we didn't have all this background stories. Like you weren't a folk hero or an acolyte and also a thief, and then a thief swashbuckler or some other specialist class. So there's a lot more nuance to characters these days as you develop them and grow them before you even get to the gaming table. In the old days, essentially you just rolled you had these basic sets of abilities and things, and then you sat down at the table, and it was your job to create your character and project your character, and your alignment was the framework that you operated from. That was what you springboarded your character's personality from. So you were very free to come up with any sort of character that you wanted. So in a way, even though there weren't the written options there, the imaginary options were unlimited. So yeah. So if you just read the old editions and have never played them, it's a different experience reading a role-playing book from actually sitting down and playing a role-playing book. And also everybody's table and your experiences with their game and their campaign is different as well. Obviously, anybody who's run a game, you know that you change things as soon as you start playing. So yeah, your personalities. Yeah, dwarves were very specialist fighters, and they were underground experts. Elves were multi-class fighter mages, and they were the only ones who could multi-class as a fighter and a mage. So they had that special trait, but they also had downsides as well. Role-playing Monopoly is your favorite role-playing game. Yeah, especially the banker. Yeah, I also like other role-playing games as well. For those of you who don't know, I wrote a character, a occupational character class or a magic system for Palladium Books as well. That was published in Rifter number 23. So if you go searching around for that, you'll find that I wrote the Blade Mage. So I'm not just a Dungeons and Dragons person. I've had other sort of gaming experience as well. I also wrote a paid blog years ago, which is all gone now, but that sort of set the format for the sort of style of videos that I was going to make eventually anyway, because I was making reference material in a blog post, so people kept going back and reading it. Plain old ordinary fighter. Yep, just fighter. Mick fighter. Standard Happy Meal package fighter. Only player is my cousin's husband, who's had a background, was in first edition, and God, it was hard getting plot hooks from him. Can be. Yeah, it's not an indictment against really first edition. It's more an indictment against that particular player. Some people are just like that. Some people, you know, they like the mechanics of the game more than they like the role-playing aspect. Other people are happy playing a game where they don't even roll dice. Critical Role, for example. Those people are more interested in the story and playing in character, and that's fine. Pierces have a secondary stomach which stores food in it. Their bodies store a large amount of water, and yes, they are edible and taste like snail, but with... Really? Were cranium rat? No, I don't think so. I think lycanthropy might be too dangerous for... I mean, if you were something like a Mind Flayer, you would probably find out what was the transformative supernatural aspect of the lycanthropy and try and replicate it and take it apart. They're very smart, after all. I've never played Vampire the Masquerade. I have played a couple of game sessions of Mage, the Ascension, or whatever it's called. But that was just a couple of sessions. That didn't really go anywhere. So I understand the basics of how the system works. It was the popularity of Magic, the Vampire the Masquerade, and the clans and the factions that were the core of those games is what was the inspiration for the various cosmic factions of Planescape. And Planescape really was developed so that the Outer Planes would be more accessible to gameplay, and also those ideas of factions that the characters would be involved in or possibly join, because it was very like fashionable at the time. So Vampire the Masquerade created a sensation that changed the way a lot of role-playing games operated, which is just, yeah, another thing. You don't roll dice? Your fun is wrong! Yeah. Hey, CR Love. Nice to see you. Yeah. I'll probably swing back around to those subjects again. Things I get asked a lot. Will I be making videos about specific locations? Will I be making videos about this monster or that creature? Will I make videos about Warhammer 40k? Will I make videos about Eberron? Will I make videos about Dragonlance? Will I make a video about shifters? I get asked those a lot. I don't know which came first, Shadowrun or Vampire the Masquerade. I think Shadowrun's slightly older. Could be wrong. Elijah, how's it going? Devon? Yeah, it's kind of just starting. It's been going for about 20 minutes or so. Do beholders get bored and do busy work? Every beholder is a little bit different. They're a little bit crazy, I think. That's right. 3 Delegator. 3 Dagalalathor. It's too many vowels. Legend of Humar. Yeah. Well, I don't think the beholder would sweep his lair. He would probably just like run a disintegration beam across it. Also, since they Red Eyes Black Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon, the beholder don't really care what's on the floor of their chambers because they never rest. They can float permanently. They don't settle down to sleep. They just float in midair. Shadowrun is older, yeah. I thought so. Yeah. For sure. Wow. It's quite a difference. Thank you for looking that up, everyone. What am I debating you about, Inquisitor Thomas? Or what is anybody debating you about? Medieval Star Wars. When you think about it, Star Wars is kind of D&D. If I were a beholder, what would be my quirks? I'd only eat frozen food. Do you think they will put a shifter class in 5th edition? They already have. In fact, I have the printout somewhere of... Where did I put it? This is my life. I go through so much printed material because I don't really like reading PDFs that much, so I tend to... Oh, here we go. So in an Unearthed Arcana special, they included the Artificer, which is another thing I get asked about a lot, Dragon Marks, the Warforged, and the Shifter, and the Changeling. So all of those, as you know, are from Eberron. So they basically provided all of the 5th edition material for you to include Eberron stuff in your game in a Unearthed Arcana article. So I can certainly make a video about that. You don't know, just debate you. Okay, no. So Eberron, I played a limited little mini campaign in the city of Sharn. That was pretty much the only experience of Eberron that I had as a player. I've never DM'd it, and I haven't read a lot of the material, although I have all of the material for it. I've also got all of the material for Ravenloft, and I know I get asked to do Ravenloft stuff all the time. So I know that a lot of you are very rabid about Ravenloft, but just understand that I've got a lot of stuff that I want to cover personally, and since I've never played Ravenloft or haven't read a lot of the material yet, but I'm in the process of, I just don't have a lot of interest in making videos about it right now, but I will get around to it. I'll also be talking about templates as well. Templates and some of the stuff that 4th edition did well, some of the stuff that 3.5 edition did well, some of the stuff that 2nd edition did well. So, for instance, I consider some of the like stuff on magic items. I also get asked to do videos on intelligent magic items and things, which is something that I've talked about doing for a while, and I am going to get around to it. And I also wanted to talk about just the sort of the shifting and changing theories behind how magic and magic items work in Dungeons and Dragons, because way back in the beginning it was quite different. Would a Mind Flayer who's a Master Enchanter be able to wipe an entire party if they had low enough wisdom? Well, that's kind of a contradiction in terms, because that would be a rogue Mind Flayer if they're a Master Enchanter. And what would their wisdom score have to do with it if the Mind Flayer was using magic rather than psychic powers? Because which would they rely on more, their psychic powers or their magical ability? Lord Soth from Ravenloft. Yeah, well, I talked about Death Knights and how they came to be. And that was a known Death Knight that I was talking about. So Lord Soth is just a Death Knight. Also, I did some surveys of the viewers on the community chat, the community tab, about what they play, and very few people are playing Greyhawk, like legit Greyhawk. A lot of people borrow stuff from Greyhawk and Faerun and whatever and make their own games. The majority, I think it's about 70%, homebrew to some extent, either totally or they just borrow what they need. But very few people are running Forgotten Realms 100% by the book, and even fewer people are running Greyhawk, and even fewer people are running Eberron. So, Kairos, sorry, I must have missed where you told me what you were talking about. So just post what you're talking about. Yeah, Mind Flayers are terrifying, and the creatures that Mind Flayers use are terrifying. I mean, really, if the encounter is just with a Mind Flayer, then you're kind of missing the point of what Mind Flayers do. If you're facing a weird situation with lots of disparate creatures that are all acting in concert together with some sort of guiding force of some evil creature out of sight, that's more like an encounter with a Mind Flayer. A continent-sized Tarrasque with gigantic mountain ranges and vast forests across its carapace, similar to a monstrous Gaia. Interesting. Yeah, Mind Flayers have got all sorts of great background stuff. I mean, they've had a source book written specifically about them by the infamous Bruce. Level 1 wizards with horses. Oh yeah, there's some debate about centaurs being able to climb trees. Of all the things to get into arguments with people about, centaurs climbing trees. Like, first of all, the centaurs aren't horses. They don't have the same muscular skeletal system as a horse. They are more flexible. In the lore written about centaurs, they are far more flexible than a horse. A centaur can easily turn around and plait their own tail here, which a horse certainly can't do. And they are very agile. They can climb a tree, much like a goat. An ibex, for instance, can climb up a damn near sheer surface. And also there's Moroccan tree climbing goats, which are adapted to climb in trees to eat the berry thingies on these thorny trees. So there is most definitely precedent for it. So it's not completely outlandish that centaurs can climb trees. I'll fight you. The Ilithiad, yes. Where they even mentioned that the Illithids have got their own version of the cold, which I thought was fantastic. Hill Giants are really good. Hill giants are always more scary than they actually are in combat. Like the intimidation of running across a hill giant as you're going cross country is more intimidating than actually fighting a hill giant. Because hill giants tend to work alone. So it's one of those big boss monsters which literally won't have minions coming at you from the side. Mind flayers are scary because they do definitely have minions. Yeah, I recommend looking up on Google, on YouTube about the Moroccan tree climbing goats. They get an oil from the droppings of the seed pods that the goats pass through their digestive system. It's one of the most expensive oils in the world, actually. Yeah, I'd certainly give them a minus to climbing. Like they wouldn't be as agile at climbing as a tabaxi. Tabaxis would be able to climb trees like a dream. I mean, they're catfolk. They've got claws in their fingers. Can centaurs dance the tango? Sure, why not? Can they dubstep? Mm-hmm. I still can't see what you're asking me, Kairos. I've been waiting. Yeah, I can imagine the leverage a centaur would have on a throw of a rock or something like that. That'd be quite impressive. Centaurs, cavaliers are called peers. P-E-E-R. No, I don't have a mighty keg of coffee for this stream. It's scheduled for just over an hour. Tabaxi claws are retractable, yes. You could rule that they're partially retractable. They're not as specialized as cat claws. Tabaxi mostly hunt like their vestigial claws. They mostly hunt with spears, javelins, arrows, things like that. They don't leap and hands-on kill things. I don't know, Jan. I've never checked. Centaurs can, yeah, gnomish keg of coffee. Centaurs can give people lifts. You can ride a centaur if it allows you, though they rarely do. And that's the thing that their spine's not particularly good at. So, for instance, the centaur could just like plonk itself down and sit in a cross-legged position on the floor and paint their nails, their hooves, and they sleep, on the ground, curled up. So, for instance, a centaur can, with its body standing upright without its legs bent, they can reach down and touch the ground with their fingers. So that gives you some idea of how flexible their spine actually is. That's in the lore. That's not just me making stuff up. There's actually, there's some mention of that in the lore as well, Robert, about people who ride a centaur and try firing an arrow. For instance, you've got the centaur right in front of you, right there. So you have to reach around them, and the centaur's like doing stuff as well. So you have a slight disadvantage on firing with an arrow from the back of a centaur. That's in the lore as well, believe it or not. Rock grubs don't turn into anything. That's that's all they do. I'd be interested though if somebody did come up with a creature that rock grubs could turn into. That'd be interesting. Are there any adventure modules with the area of Pale Night? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I wouldn't say they've got a cat-like spine. More like a... let's see. I don't know. They're quite unique, really. Yeah, you could sit on the centaur facing backwards and fire at pursuers, for sure. One of the things with like a centaur is that their agility is such as that they could like turn quite sharply and spin around and twist around so that their body is kind of in a U shape, and they'll be firing behind them with a bow. And you imagine if you're riding one, you get thrown. So yeah, it'd be quite tricky. Probably, Dan. That's an interesting question, actually. If a centaur lost a leg, so you're a three-legged centaur, what would the relationship with the tribe be like? What's their relationship towards disabled centaurs? Thought eater? Probably, yeah, actually. That's an old school critter. Those floating ectoducks. What else am I going to talk about today? That's about it, really. Cataplebus, yep. I'd like to finish off everything that's in the dungeon in the original monster manual, and then start concentrating on other things as well. So in some ways, I'm going to be sort of going off on my own tangent and doing videos that I want to get done, because I do. You have to admit, I do a lot of fan service. I make a lot of videos that people request of me, and I very rarely, like, I don't do any crafting videos anymore. I almost purely do videos that people have requested, which is, it's fine. I mean, I don't mind having an unlimited amount of material that I have to get done. That's certainly a luxury that a lot of YouTube channels don't have. But I also have things that I want to get done as well. And a lot of people who are new to the channel are unaware of the fact that I do crafting and sculpture and all that sort of stuff. Like, it was quite a surprise that I do artwork to a lot of people. And there's a reason why my channel is called The Mighty Glue Stick. Oh, yeah. Every miniature for every monster in the monster manual. Good idea. A shambly mound that had been feeding on rot grub infested zombies. Whoa. That is a nasty encounter. Non-detection? No, I think there's like a sanctuary spell, where essentially if you don't attack, people won't attack you. Goliath. Have there been any new additions to the monster manuals that you didn't like? Yes, absolutely. Do I write much of my own homebrew material? I don't per se write stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I sort of come up with on the fly. You're sculpting a Belluchitherium. Is that one of those great big prehistoric megafaunas? What's my favorite module? Actually, one that I've quite enjoyed recently is a very simple module, which was the Shallow Crater, which is a medium level romp against a concentrated force of kobolds, which will certainly probably kill one or two of the characters if you're not too careful. Shadowversity's what medieval weapons would centaurs really use? Fantasy rearmed. No, I haven't watched that, Kairos. I haven't watched it yet. Thanks for pointing that out. Talk business in regards to sculpting. Oh, really? Well, there's the unfortunate thing is that I don't do art commissions. I've thought about it and thought about it, and I've tried it. I've sort of put my toes in the water of it, and whenever I have something which I absolutely have to do, I hate doing it, and I don't do anything that I don't enjoy doing. So really, I can do amazing artwork for myself, for my own enjoyment, and then I will share it with everybody else. And yeah, So I'm not a professional artist in that regard. Or you could say I'm not a production artist. I'm an artist who does it for their own enjoyment, and I like challenging myself with projects. So I like doing successively more complicated or weird things, but I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. And I don't like doing something on commission with somebody else, which is forcing me to do something which I wouldn't otherwise have done. Because I don't find sketching, for instance, particularly easy to do. It's mentally taxing. So when I sit down to draw, I want it to be a sort of a fun and engaging thing where I can wander off with my thoughts and do a repetitive sort of 15 minutes here or there. Sculpture is a lot more enjoyable for me, and a lot more, you could say I've got more of a talent in that regard. But you know, nobody starts off being able to draw or sculpt. It's something that you have to practice constantly. Could I make a guide to painting miniatures with brushes? I could use some refinement. There's other channels which are really good for that. What I can do is I can provide some links to you. If you message me, if you email me, then I can provide you some really good links to YouTube's channels and stuff which will teach you everything you need to know about painting miniatures. And they're really good videos. They're the ones that I use to learn. My players, group of 3, are unwilling to learn the rules beyond I hit it, can I kill it? So in the 10 to 13 I've followed the game, I've never played. Time to find a new group. Maybe. These are your friends, right? You're role-playing with your friends, not a bunch of strangers, am I right? Hey Chase. Yeah, that's it. That's my email address, everybody. Mr. Tool. Mr. Teeple. You're welcome to email me. Those of you who follow me on Facebook as well and check out the Mighty Glue Stick page on Facebook will see that I occasionally post the comment of the week. So if you make a particularly good comment, it may end up on Facebook. Usually it's people who I'm taking the piss out of, including my first ever virulent hate mail that I got through email. I was quite proud of that. You know how long and hard you have to work before you get actual hate mail? Should Dungeons & Dragons add a new race like a hippo? Well, there's the GIF. I guess I should do a video on the GIF as well. Has D&D ever had a xenomorph style of creature? Kinda. Yeah, the GIF say hello. Yeah, the Starship books. Planescape. Did I happen to catch the new Critical Role? No. So, yeah, I did that video on the Critical Role character based on a script that was written for me because I do not watch Critical Role. I'm not a fan of Critical Role. I am familiar with Critical Role. I'm now familiar with the characters and stuff of the actors who play in that game. But I'm a Acquisitions Incorporated fan. I watch those things. So I'll be writing a script and Acquisitions Incorporated will be playing through their game in the background. So as you can imagine, I don't have enough time to watch a 4-hour Critical Role game or whatever, however long it is. So I did that video based on the script that somebody else wrote. So you may notice I'm not answering all the questions and stuff on there because I just don't know the answers. And also I don't have a great amount of interest in that game or those characters. And not only that, but the character that the script was talking about got killed. Spoilers. So yeah, it's not unusual for a low-level campaign to, the start of a campaign to have the low-level character here or there die. That's not a shocker. And I'm of the opinion that no, they shouldn't bring back Molly. The player should just play another character. I don't think he was very happy with Molly in the first place. So I don't know if I'm going to continue to make videos of that particular type. It was an interesting experiment, but it just felt weird talking about something that I didn't really have any understanding of. And also I got a lot of flack for like not pronouncing Vox Machina correctly. I mean, it's fine. Pronounce it how you want. I don't care. Yeah. And it would be kind of weird if I made a video about Acquisitions Incorporated, C-Team, or had a big long video about, you know, Jim Dark Magic or whatever. Because there's a lot of people that don't watch that and would have no interest in that. I could talk about, you know, how to incorporate an Acquisitions Incorporated style company, an adventuring company in your campaign. That'd be interesting, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, there is certainly a market for it, Dylan, and we can see, like, we predicted this years ago when we started doing online gaming. As soon as it became possible to have groups of people having conference calls over Skype or Google Hangouts, we started role-playing that way. I was very much a part of that original movement of people who were invested in running games online so that people could see what games were actually like, not just being not just having to deal with message boards and things like that, which were very negative in the late 80s and early 90s. I mean, the fans of D&D almost killed D&D back in those days. So, yeah, I didn't have a lot to do with the community of Dungeons & Dragons at the tail end of 2nd edition 3.5 and stuff, because the community was quite toxic online anyway. At least my experience of it was. So I dealt with like the Palladium RPG community instead. And then now it's quite different. The 5th edition community is quite different. And I think those people who think that there is a certain element of Wizards of the Coast, or like the certain employees who have political agendas and things like that, and, you know, social politics and stuff like that, and inclusivity, and dealing with like changing things so there's no gatekeeping and stuff. Well, I lived through the period where there was people who were gatekeeping and very negative in the community, and people who hadn't played the game for years, but basically shat on anybody who had ideas or suggestions which conflicted with their worldview of what a role-playing game should be. And one of the reasons why we started playing games online so that people could actually see role-playing games played is to put a lie to those ideas that role-playing games had to be a certain way, or you could roleplay wrong. So, yeah. You did? Yeah, you liked it? maybe, Grant. Yeah, I like doing that sort of stuff. I like sort of little storytelling sort of things at the start of videos. That was somebody's suggestion, actually, that I sort of place a creature in the game world from the perspective of people who live there and deal with them. So that was kind of the start of the... you'll see that in the upcoming video on the Marilith as well. I've got a little sequence like that at the start of it, which I'd like your feedback from you on whether I should do that sort of stuff. So yeah, long story short, we started role-playing games and running role-playing games online, and they were very boring. The production values are very low, but people, you know, and I discovered that I was one of those people that couldn't really sit through a game session just watching people play a role-playing game. And then along came Acquisitions Incorporated they started off running their game as a podcast, and then they actually got in front of a camera, and Chris Perkins was their DM, and they've since spun off, and Jerry Hawkins runs his Acquisitions Incorporated C-Team, and they run a game every week. And playing they played a game in front of an audience of thousands of people at PAX, and proved that it's a performance art, so that people will actually sit down in an auditorium and watch a group of people play. And the interaction between them and the audience was just dynamic. was fantastic. So yeah. Hi Zomdi. Thank you. Good night, Matthew. Oh, cool. So yeah, so there is like people who put a lot of production value into the game. They will discover that the mechanics of the game and stuff is secondary to the storytelling, particularly if you're playing for an audience. Yeah, but there's still the game at the core of the performance that you're watching. That's the thing. The game is still there, even if it's kind of subdued. It's still a game, so characters can still die. And that's why I think that if they brought Molly back to life again, it would be a mistake. It would certainly... I mean, I don't have a vested interest in it, but just from a gaming perspective. Wyverns probably do. Have I ever run a Terry Pratchett Discworld style of game? No, I've run all sorts of types of games. Like I've run a D&D game that had Warhammer 40k Space Marines land in Faerun and go on a basic killing spree. That was fun. I've run a game where all of the players were ridiculous superheroes from the Tick universe. You know, from the Tick. I've run all sorts of stuff. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style games. I've run supernatural games. I've run sci-fi type games. Adventures in the Three Galaxies. Phase World. Well, I even ran a game where all of the characters were Galaxy Rangers. So yeah. Yep, Dragonlance got started as a game. Yeah, you know, you can run a Discworld campaign without any special source book. If you're familiar with the game world, you can just use 5th edition stuff to do it. See you later, Grant. Nice to catch up with you. What about Dark Sun? I don't think I've run a party of monsters. I've run plenty of games where they're all non-humans. If you want some tips on running a West Marches style game, I haven't run a West Marches style game, so that would be that's not my specialty. Matthew Colville has information about that sort of thing. In fact, I think he's the one who sort of spread the concept of West Marches style games, which have caught on somewhat. But in my particular location in New Zealand, we just don't have the player base to play that sort of West Marches style campaign. So, yeah. Adventure League is probably as close as you can get to that sort of thing in the world that we know right now. Spoon! Are there wereworms? Not that I know of. Cosmonites? Yep, exactly. 3 Galaxies, that's right. Well, I certainly have some videos to make. I've been a bit slow on my video output this week. Just having a breather and catching up with my other writing project, which I talked about at the start of the stream. Yeah. There are a couple of supplements for the Magic the Gathering style campaign settings that you can get as PDFs from the Dungeon Masters Guild. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that's coming up as well. I'm now an affiliate of the Dungeon Masters Guild as well, so occasionally I'll do reviews of products that I've bought and had a look through and given a critical once over. And if you like what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description down below, and if you buy it through my affiliate link, then I get a kickback from that as well. So obviously it won't be much because things on the Dungeon Masters Guild are pretty cheap, as they should be. I saw the other day there was a Kickstarter for a role-playing supplement I think it was a rewrite of a previously existing thing. And they had the like the different tiers that you back on Kickstarter, but the PDF they had valued at like $45 US. I was like, are you insane? Are you out of your freaking mind? Like, a hardcover book, sure, but a PDF for $45? That's ridiculous. That's just stupid. So I didn't back it based on that. And if you're the person who were doing that, that's my personal opinion. But my God, nobody should price a PDF at $45. That's crazy. Were spiders yet? Well, I suppose you could use the stats for a Dryder as the stats for a were spider. Put a hat of freezing on a troll would be super intelligent. Ah, yeah, the Discworld version of trolls. I actually like the idea of because that's the Lord of the Rings version of a troll, isn't it? Based on stone, turned to stone. Cohen the Barbarian. Yeah, exactly, Ben. $45 for a PDF. It's like, I know a lot of people are going to back your Kickstarter campaign based on the pledge for a PDF only of the book. Don't bilk them to the tune of $45, you thieving bastards. That's just suicidal. They still got backed, you know. But, no. You leave quarters on candy and toy machines for that very reason, AJ. Oh yeah, I do that too. If I've got spare change left over, I always leave it on top of the machine. Nobody ever does that for me. Like if I'm short on change, I'll always reach up and feel at the top of the machine. Never find anything. How long is the PDF? I mean, it's like a regular sized thing. It's like 200 pages or something like that. I don't know. I mean, you'd expect to pay, what? A maximum of like $70 or $80 for a nice hardbound book, plus shipping and handling. But $45 for a PDF is highway robbery. It's larceny. Self-defeating. Yeah, 2,000 pages. Yeah, you'd think so. $45 for the complete series of blah, whatever. At least 500 pages. I know. And I'm not going to say who it is who's doing that for that Kickstarter. Their Kickstarter's almost over anyway. They're successfully backed, so what does it matter? I'm just saying that I won't back any Kickstarter that's like that, and I don't think you should either. And you know, do not engage with that sort of activity. Same sort of thing with microtransactions and stuff like that in the gaming industry. Who's to blame for that? The manufacturers of the game or the idiots who buy that shit? Because they wouldn't do it if nobody bought it. Honestly. Don't support things with your money that you don't agree with. In this day and age, in the world that we know, your power, your political power, is your money. That is the greatest power that you have to affect real change in the world. Politicians don't do anything with their own dime. They do it with money that they take from other people. So if you don't give money to a thing, that thing withers and dies very quickly in this world. That's the only advice I can give you politically. Vote with your wallet, exactly. That being said, D&D Beyond, for instance, how they sort of charge you twice for whatever material. I'm a big believer in, like, if I've bought the physical books and stuff, I should be able to provide proof of purchase to D&D Beyond that I have bought the physical books, and then give me access to the PDF material on there, because I've already fucking paid for it. That's fair enough, honestly. Or just stick with the subscription version. So if you buy a subscription, just give me the material that is available on the thing, because they make it in a format that, like, nobody's going to copy all that material off there anyway. You know, the idea is we want everybody using the centralized computer accessed material database, so everybody's on the same page. Hi, Dina. A lot, unfortunately. You're pretty much at the end of the stream. Because this is the late stream. Yeah, code. Exactly. So, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, cosmetics and stuff like that, like completely optional stuff. But obviously, that started rampaging out of control in the gaming industry. I'm not a big computer gamer. I would never do microtransactions and shit like that. I don't support pay to win in anything. And I also don't support pay twice just to get access to online services. A few leather-backed hardcover special editions, yeah. Well, that's fine. I noticed the other day, because I had that idea about coming up with leather covers that you could apply, that you could put on any of your gaming books, because they're all basically a standard size. And selling leather covers for things, just the leather covers, so you can apply them to whatever books you want. What's my favorite campaign setting to run? Chase, obviously. It's Forgotten Realms, obviously. Also like Sigil, the City of Doors, Sigil, the Cage. I like running planner adventures and things. Coffee, always coffee, Dylan. What was I saying? Never mind. Yeah, leather covers, right? Yeah, leather covers for D&D books. So if I put like my channel art or some nice little bit of artwork, for instance, what's that tattoo I was thinking about getting? This is one that I think Josh has got as well. This one, you've probably seen this. I don't know if this is going to show up very well. So imagine having that on the leather cover of your D&D book. That'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it? Also a really excellent tattoo, by the way. So I was just cleaning up the design of that because I like the dice to be closer together. Yeah. Yeah, I know a guy who basically has every D&D book known to man from a website. He didn't understand that maybe thousands of others will do the same and maybe wind up causing financial issues to Wizards of the Coast. Well, Wizards of the Coast is doing better now financially than they ever have. So it's obviously not making a huge impact. And don't forget that a lot of the material that is available in PDFs from those sites aren't available as print products anymore. So you would have to go and spend thousands of dollars on Amazon just to track down some first edition like modules and things like that in the original form. And Wizards of the Coast doesn't do a great job of releasing updated material for its older editions of the game. 5th edition now is more interested in releasing updated versions of older modules and things like that for the new fan base. They're not interested in creating new game worlds and things like that. They've actually said in their last fireside chat, where the marketing director and the communications director of Dungeons and Dragons were sitting there, and they were saying, we would be more likely to, if there was somebody who came up with a campaign setting that was massively popular through like the Dungeon Masters Guild and actually got a real cult following, they'd be more likely to adopt that sort of innovation than designing a new world in-house like Eberron. So there you go. They're not going to release any new settings anytime soon, at least not for this current edition of the game. I'm actually familiar with what you're talking about, Nerd Geek Gamer, but we won't talk about it online, eh? Well, it could be like, is there vegetable leather? Is there non-animal? Is there vegan leather that you can get? Surely. Vinyl, I suppose. But can you like brand it? That's what I want to know. Yeah. First edition is optimal. It's got every single edition has got its shining aspects. Fourth editions, for instance, the mechanics of fourth edition for a tabletop game, particularly with new players, and playing like strategic games like Frostfell. That's Frostfell. Is it Frostfell? That sort of like strategic miniatures game that stemmed out of fourth edition mechanics is fantastic. Really is. Really enjoyable. And you can introduce to people to Dungeons and Dragons through playing a strategy board game with them without the role-playing aspects to it, and they will start inching into role-playing anyway. So absolutely, 4th edition was fantastic for people, getting people, new players, hooked into the game really quickly. God, your sentences are hard to pass, Kirby. Do you actually talk like that? just write sentences as you would converse. Vegab. Vegan leather from pineapple leaves. Oh, interesting. Hashtag vegan. I'm not a vegan. I don't care. How do I feel about DM snack bribes? I'm in favour. For sure. So the meal of choice at our gaming table is either fish and chips, which is very Kiwi. So that's battered fish and deep fried potato fries, with what we call hot dogs, which is actually what Americans call corn dogs, and we call your hot dogs American hot dogs. I don't know why. I can see why you call them corn dogs. Actually, it's quite funny. Corn on a cob type thing. And potato fritters, which is battered slices of potato. And otherwise, we'll also have Burger King. So some sort of bacon Whopper thingy is what my friend usually buys, and like a thick shake or a sundae, and fries, obviously. But I eat an enormous amount of sandwiches, usually peanut butter and Marmite. I also eat a lot of microwave rice with buttered chicken. That's one of my favourite go-to meals because it's very easy and fast to make. 3:15 a.m. Good grief. This is definitely the late stream. Anyway, it's going on past an hour. Time to wind it up. Thank you for everybody that tuned in, and the 48 of you who are still here. I guess I could use an and more. Burger King, slaughterhouse prostitute. See, is that even a sentence? I guess I could use the ampersand more. Burger King, which I consider to be the slaughterhouse prostitute? Or are you calling me a slaughterhouse prostitute? Either way, it's amusing. Mountain Dew, nachos, and large pizza. Yeah, I occasionally buy like a large amount of pizzas and then eat them all weekend. That's fairly typical. Chicken is actually corn and soy, not dead bird. Toodles. Oh. Right. Well, if it tastes like chicken and it smells like chicken... See you later, everybody. Yeah, strange that we don't actually eat pizza at the table very often. I've heard of White Castle burgers. Are they like little burgers? Of course, you guys don't have the same sort of burgers that we have in New Zealand. We have gourmet burgers. from a place called... Yeah, we've got a restaurant called Burger Fuel, which makes gourmet burgers. And my favorite burger from Burger Fuel is called the Bastard Burger. No problem, Jake. Thank you very much. See you, Lorenzo. I'm going to be on the Discord server in about 20 minutes. So I'll catch you all over there for a chat. Wizard's Kiss commented on my latest video. Where do you get all this? Where do you get all this lore? Well, obviously, tarot cards. I have a crystal ball. Like little sliders. See, I don't even know what a slider is. Okay. Kangaroo burgers. No, we have no kangaroos. Because I'm not Australian. Group pull for a singular pizza. Your weird flat pizzas that you have. Your shallow dish pizzas on the East Coast. Or is it West Coast? Like New York's got the deep dish pizzas, right? Like a pizza pie. And over on the other coast, you more commonly have a sort of a flat mozzarella cheesy pizza. Thank you, Fiona. If it tastes like chicken, it could be anything. True. Remind me to share my recipe for kobold legs using slow cooked turkey drumsticks with a peri peri sauce. Magic 8 Ball, sometimes it's a 20-sided dice shape inside there. Yeah, wallaby burgers. I don't actually like the taste of kangaroo very much. It's too lean for me. I like a bit of fat in my meat. New York's thin crust and Chicago is deep dish. Oh, okay. They're not that far apart, are they? Chicago and New York. Let's see. It's just below the Great Lakes. In Milwaukee. Chi-town. Chicken kind of is the benchmark, yeah. Well, you got like, you know, red meat, fish, chicken. All right, anyway, I'm getting hungry now. I think all this talk about food. Catch you later, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back again on the weekend for another live stream, and that will be my usual earlier live stream. So I'll be streaming at about 7 p.m. On California time. Yeah, and this midweek Wednesday live stream is my late live stream. So yeah. What did I admit? Goblin ham. Kangaroo legs with Marmite? Absolutely not. Hi, Mithridates. So come on over to the Discord where we can have some uncensored conversations. Marmite. If you tuned into my last live stream, I think I actually ate some Marmite on that one. No, not marmalade. Marmite or Vegemite. Basically a black yeast goo that we spread on sandwiches here. And also makes really good if you put it into the sauce base on a pizza. Really nice. Umami. You missed nothing. We were never here. This is not a stream. This is all imagination and illusion. Discord. The Discord channel. There's a link underneath in the description of all of my videos. You'll see a link to the Discord channel. If you click that, it'll take you directly to the Discord. Thanks for asking, Dylan. Marmalade. It's a jam made out of the citrus, the peels of citrus, and more sort of alkali, bitter fruits like grapefruit and stuff like that. Discord is a strange place. All right. Bye, everybody. Happy gaming. Have a good week. See you soon. Thanks for tuning in.